Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I am here in sunny Dubai. It's absolutely gorgeous here, and I've just finished a small conference or mastermind here with some amazing people. And in those conversations that I was having while networking, a lot was discussed about dropshipping and e-commerce, and it just made me realize how many people out there that have probably, given dropshipping a go and ultimately have been unsuccessful and have failed at it. And I wanted to jump on and make this video because I think so many of you, hopefully watching this, who have given dropshipping a go, probably think that that was down to something that you were doing, or dropshipping or e-commerce just isn't the way. And I want to let you know that dropshipping was not the answer, first of all. Second of all, it's not your fault that you weren't able to make it work. And thirdly, why actually e-commerce is still an incredibly profitable and an amazing way that you can make an incredibly amazing living, making tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars within the next few months. And so with that being said, let me first of all touch on the dropshipping subject and why I personally think it's unrealistic for the vast majority to make a living from it and actually make a successful business from it. And the reason for it is that, it's only getting ever so much more competitive. You are also picking from the same pool of products as every single other person in dropshipping. You're limited by that. You're limited by only being able to choose winning products that are trending right now from the same pool of products that everyone else has access to. And that means that there is then a magnifying glass put on how good your marketing skills are in actually selling that product, because that's really what it comes down to. The other disadvantage, in my opinion, to dropshipping is because it's so focused on winning trending products, it literally comes and goes in waves, and you're not building something sustainable, something, with longevity. And of course there are anomalies. There are, people making millions from dropshipping and are able to, create, brands from it that then can actually turn into something that is exportable. But the reality is that isn't what's going to happen for the vast majority of people that get into dropshipping. You are competing against thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of other people on the same product. And that's only going to get worse. So the reason why I think building a brand really is the answer to making serious money in e-commerce is because you have the ability to create something unique, something that isn't drop shippables, not something that someone can literally go onto Alibaba or whatever and literally decide to drop ship. In actual fact, it gives you the ability to create something that's unique, that solves a serious problem, and more importantly, for people that are getting started in this space, you're actually able to create a product that does majority of the selling for you rather than having to rely solely on your marketing skills in order to do so. Now, I just want to say that doesn't mean that you can sleep on your marketing skills. That is something that you are going to have to evolve, learn, and get much, much better at. But by being able to actually create something, a lot of the selling will be done by the product itself rather than drop shipping products where everyone else is already selling it and you just have the advantage of your marketing skills versus theirs. So with that being said, some of the things that I want to discuss when it comes to building a brand and why I think it's something that is actually a lot more accessible than probably people think is that, first of all, I think there's a negative association with building a brand that it requires a lot of startup capital and investment, and that's why obviously dropshipping is such a favorable path to take, because there is no outlay in terms of buying inventory or anything. However, there is a way where with building a brand, especially with the type of product, you can keep costs way below $1,000 initially to get the ball rolling, and actually within that $1,000 create a product from scratch that is unique to you, and actually get that sent to you so that you can then go ahead and send that to your customers. There are a couple of key things to starting a brand that I recommend. First of all, you want to find a product that is lightweight, that is small, and ideally can be sent to you from China via air. And the reason for that is because sending products from China to the UK, to the US, wherever it is that you're based, from China by air, is that it is so much quicker. We are talking a week to 2 weeks maximum compared to 2 to 3 months, in a good situation via sea freight, and actually having to ship your products in a container. It takes months, and planning for that and growing a business and tying up cash in that inventory is where a lot of e-commerce brands fail because of those cash flow issues. Whereas if you're able to answer that problem by initially starting with a product where it makes sense to actually still ship it by air, get a couple hundred, if not 1,000 units by air, still cost effective, it's going to allow you to not tie up as much of your initial capital and revenue that you generate into more and more stock. So that's the first thing. It's finding those lightweight products. Examples of that, of course, are jewelry, small things like gadget accessories. There are a few beauty products that would fit that as well. These are the kind of things that you can do, and I'll have a separate video on the sort of areas that I would probably focus on when it comes to those smaller products that would fit that criteria. But that's the first thing that you're looking for. The second thing that you're looking for is a product that in itself has a very, very desirable function. What I mean by that is that you need a product that you can actually showcase within a video that is actually going to do a lot of the selling itself, right? A product that actually, when you show how it functions, how it actually does the thing that you're trying to solve, in itself is selling the product. It's a lot like, you've seen these shows where people are, selling these cleaning products, and they're doing this an amazing demonstration in front of people, and all of a sudden there's this huge puddle of water or puddle of liquid, and they've got this amazing absorbing sponge, and they're able to place it onto that puddle, and all of a sudden the water's just zapped up and disappeared, right? That in itself is a product that sells. It doesn't require much marketing. It doesn't require anything else besides a physical and visual demonstration of how that product works in order to sell. And that is that second criteria that I always look for in a product when starting a brand, especially for people that are getting started, because you then can rely on your product doing half of the selling, if not all of the selling, rather than having to rely on being the best of the best when it comes to marketing. The benefit is that if you have a product like that, in the future when you start nailing the marketing and what it takes to really get more and more people buying, you're just going to be adding fuel to the fire in a good sense, and that's how you're going to be able to start scaling that brand to new heights. So that's the second thing. The third thing, of course, is making sure that you find a product that has enough margin in it. And really what I've found is that after cost of goods, so realistically, that's going to be whatever you decide to sell that product for, so the sale price minus cost of goods, you need a gross margin of at least 80%. Sorry about that, guys, my video cut out, I ran out of storage. But what I was basically saying is that that third piece of criteria that you need in order to find that winning product initially when creating a brand is that you need to be able to find a product that you can have gross margins of at least 80%. So the reason for that is because it's not just the cost of goods that you need to factor in, right? You also need to factor in your CPA. A CPA is your cost per acquisition, or people refer to it as cost per purchase as well. And obviously starting a brand, you're going to be relying heavily usually on paid advertising, and that's what I suggest because it allows you to get things rolling a lot faster. And so obviously you need to factor in how much you need to be spending on the likes of Meta ads or Google ads or even TikTok ads in order to actually get someone to make just one purchase. And so you have to have that margin in place in order to be able to afford to spend the ad spend and still be profitable. Now, the CPA, the cost per purchase, is going to change depending on who you're targeting, the market that you're in, and the product you're selling. And so really that's something that you're going to have to figure out as you get started and as you start actually running ads. But that's why I always recommend starting with at least gross margins of 80% if you can, because it will give you that wiggle room to make sure that you can at least make it work with some form of CPA, and then it's just about dialing in that CPA and getting it as low as possible so that you can obviously increase your profit margins. Now that's really a simple overview of what it takes to create an initial product that's going to make sense in order to create a brand. But there are also other parts to this where you can use pre-order strategies, which in a similar way to dropshipping will allow you to actually generate revenue, generate cash for your business so that you don't actually have to outlay thousands and thousands of pounds or dollars in order to get this brand up and running off of the ground. And that's something that I'm going to be creating a separate video on when it comes to pre-order strategy, because it has been the answer for me within my brand in order to literally start with $750, believe it or not. And from that $750 and from starting to make sales, I was actually able to then put all of that cash and everything I generated from the sales back into the business, and since then it's actually been self-sustaining. And so that is just proof that dropshipping isn't the only way. If you can't get access to, let's say, a couple $1,000 in order to start a brand, you shouldn't be doing it anyway. If you don't have that money right now, honestly, go save it up. Go get a job, save up that money. It'll take you a couple of months and then you can get started. But don't have the false belief that the only way to get started in e-commerce is dropshipping. In actual fact, for a couple $1,000, you can start a brand. And like I said, you are going to actually create something that is much more sustainable. You're not going to be competing with other people that have to dropship the same product, and you're going to have something unique. And that's going to actually allow you to build something for months, if not years to come. And if you're like me, the whole thing about e-commerce is actually building a brand that people, can remember, that can come back to. And obviously that is the difference with a brand. You're building something that in the future you can actually launch new products, build a really incredibly loyal customer base that is going to allow you to build an incredible business that in the future you may even be able to sell and exit. And that's why I would always recommend building a brand over dropshipping. I think it's something that, yes, it's built more for the long term, but you can also make a lot of great money in the short term. And so I hope that you found this video useful. I just wanted to kind of lay some thoughts on why I think building a brand over dropshipping is the right answer, and especially if you've given dropshipping in the past and it didn't work out, why this is where your next step should be. And so I hope to be creating a lot more content on this channel, so please subscribe to see what content I create, and I'm going to be sharing behind the scenes as to how I've been able to implement a lot of this with my brand and other brands so that you can actually get started, build a brand, launch a product, and scale it to 10, 20, 50, 100,000 per month within the next few months. So with that being said, thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one.